America's pipes corrode and fail within decades, unleashing disaster from Flint to cities nationwide. Meanwhile, a Roman aqueduct built 2,000 years ago, long before electricity, could still deliver water today. How did ancient engineers outlast us by centuries? And could their forgotten methods actually outperform our modern plumbing? The answer demands a closer look at what we think makes civilization truly advanced. In the heart of the Roman Empire, water didn't just trickle into cities, it poured. Around 100 AD, Rome's aqueducts delivered up to 600 liters per person each day, a figure that rivals or even exceeds what residents of many modern cities receive. This astonishing supply didn't just flow to public fountains and baths. Archaeologists excavating Pompeii have uncovered elite homes with as many as 30 taps, each one fed by a steady, pressurized stream. The city's network carried water not just for drinking, but for bathing, fountains, gardens, and even ornamental pools. The sheer scale is confirmed by ancient records. Sextus Julius Frontinus, Rome's water commissioner, documented the capacity of 9 aqueducts, measuring their flow in precise units called quinarii. Even after accounting for leaks and diversions, the city's daily allocation dwarfed what most people today can imagine. In Rome, water abundance wasn't a luxury for the few. It was engineered into the very fabric of urban life, setting a standard that challenges our assumptions about ancient capability. Roman engineers did not move water with brute force. They mastered the art of terrain, coaxing rivers to flow for miles with barely a hint of a slope. The Anio Novus, one of Rome's longest aqueducts, maintained a gradient of just 34 centimeters per kilometer, so slight that over its 80-kilometer run, the channel dropped only about 27 meters. Water glided almost imperceptibly, yet arrived in the city with enough pressure to supply fountains, baths, and homes. John H. Olson, a leading scholar of Roman hydraulics, has traced these gradients in the field, confirming their astonishing consistency. Modern engineers, like those at New York's Department of Environmental Protection, rely on electric pumps to force water up skyscrapers, burning energy every second. In contrast, the Romans used nothing but gravity, their calculations so precise that water traveled 50 miles without a single mechanical part. The entire system functioned as a silent engine, powered only by the natural fall of the land. This was a feat that remains difficult to replicate even with today's technology. Roman aqueducts faced a challenge that would stump many modern engineers: how to move water across deep valleys without pumps or electricity. The answer came in the form of the inverted siphon, a leap in hydraulic ingenuity. Instead of building massive bridges or letting the water lose altitude, Roman engineers dropped water down one side of a valley in a sealed pipe that narrowed to amplify pressure and then let it rocket up the opposite slope solely by the force of its own weight. As water plunged, the pressure at the lowest point soared, sometimes reaching more than 5 bar, rivaling the pressure in modern fire hoses. At Lyon, the Gier aqueduct crossed valleys up to 80 meters deep using multi-siphon spans, with granite pipes fitted so tightly that they withstood decades of relentless pressure. Field studies confirm these systems operated for centuries, their stone conduits still visible today. Air valves and settling tanks managed surges and debris, while careful calculations kept the pressure just below the bursting point. The result: water leaped across impossible terrain, driven by nothing but gravity and the Romans' mathematical precision. Roman aqueducts were not just marvels of design, they were built from a material that modern engineers still struggle to match. The secret lay in their concrete. Instead of Portland cement, which starts to crumble after a few decades in salt water, Roman builders mixed volcanic ash from the Bay of Naples with lime and seawater. This blend triggered a chemical reaction that formed a rare mineral called tobermorite, locking the concrete together at a microscopic level. Over time, instead of weakening, the concrete actually grew stronger. Scanning electron microscope images from Marie D. Jackson's lab reveal dense lattices of tobermoryte crystals threading through the ancient mortar, structures that resist cracking and that heal small fractures on their own. Modern concrete, by contrast, is vulnerable to chloride ions, which break down its bonds and rust the steel inside. Roman concrete, lacking rebar and packed with pozzolana, shrugs off the same assault. The Cloaca Maxima, Rome's main sewer, has survived more than 2,000 years of running water thanks to this chemistry. The material itself became a kind of living stone, enduring where our best efforts often fail. Lead pipes ran beneath the streets of Rome, connecting public fountains and private homes to the city's water supply. For centuries, historians blamed these pipes for a silent epidemic of lead poisoning, even suggesting they played a role in Rome's collapse. Yet chemical evidence tells a different story. Roman engineers sourced water from limestone-rich springs, delivering a supply heavy in calcium carbonate, what we call hard water. As this mineral-laden water flowed through lead pipes, it left behind a thick film of calcite, sometimes up to 2 millimeters deep. This natural coating formed a protective layer, locking the water away from the toxic metal beneath. Studies of ancient pipes from Pompeii and Herculaneum confirm this protective layer, and isotopic analysis of Roman skeletons shows only moderate increases in lead compared to modern pre-industrial populations. Mark A. Edwards, the engineer who exposed Flint's water crisis, points out that Flint's tragedy unfolded when corrosion controls failed and no mineral shield formed. In Rome, water chemistry did what modern policy neglected, a lesson in how governance and science together keep water safe. The real danger was not the lead itself, but the failure to understand and manage the chemistry flowing through every pipe. Water in ancient Rome did not wait for a tap to be turned. It flowed day and night through a network designed for movement, not storage. Public basins brimmed with fresh water, constantly overflowing into gutters and drains. This was not waste, it was urban hygiene by design. As Mary Beard has noted, the fountains and basins were more than civic ornaments, they were Rome's answer to the chaos of city living. The relentless surge swept away refuse, animal waste, and the daily grime of 1 million people, helping to keep the streets cleaner than those of many later European cities. In this system, water was always on the move, never left to stagnate. The logic was simple. As long as the aqueducts ran, so did the city's sanitation. Compare this to modern plumbing, where water sits in sealed pipes under pressure, waiting for a valve to open. The Roman approach sacrificed conservation for visible cleanliness. Their fountains were not just for show, they were the city's circulatory system, flushing life through every street and alley, 24 hours a day. Roman toilets had running water and could flush waste away, but one essential feature was missing: the water seal. The curved pipe, what we now call the P-trap or the S-bend, was not invented until 1775. Without this simple bend holding standing water, there was nothing to block the open air of the sewer from reaching the toilet seat. Methane gas and foul odors drifted up from the depths, sometimes building enough pressure to ignite or even explode. Rats and other vermin could travel the same route, appearing in latrines with no warning. The absence of a water barrier turned every flush into a gamble with the city's underworld. Public latrines in Rome offered a seat, but little privacy, and even less personal hygiene. The standard tool was the xylospongium, a sea sponge lashed to a wooden stick, rinsed in a shared gutter or bucket, and passed from person to person. In these crowded spaces, dozens of users sat close together, all relying on the same communal sponge. Bioarchaeologist Piers Mitchell has analyzed sediments from Roman latrines and cemetery burials, finding parasite eggs such as whipworm and roundworm at rates reaching 50 to 70% in some sites. The evidence is clear: the xylospongium practice turned Rome's public toilets into hotspots for parasite transmission. fueling cycles of infection that no amount of running water could wash away. Calcium deposits choked Roman aqueducts at a relentless pace, as Sinter could narrow channels by centimeters within a generation. Frontinus described maintenance shafts cut every few kilometers, where equerri, often slaves, crawled through cramped, stifling tunnels to hack away the buildup by hand. The risk was constant. Cave-ins, suffocation, and drowning haunted every shift. In 537 AD, the system met its true breaking point. As Procopius recorded, the Goths besieging Rome simply severed the aqueducts. Fountains ran dry, sewers stagnated, and within decades, the city's population crashed from hundreds of thousands to a shadow of its former self. Peter Saris calls it the moment when engineering brilliance met its fatal flaw. Once the water stopped, so did Rome. Today, our pipes crumble while Roman aqueducts endure, yet our water is safer than ever. As cities worldwide face aging infrastructure, durability alone isn't enough. Public health depends on constant vigilance. The real test isn't how long systems last, but whether they keep us alive. What matters most to you?